Hey, today I'm going to show you how to shoot cinematic travel B-roll footage with your iPhone only. There will be a challenge, and there are two different types of B-roll footage that I want to get into today. And that's at first the B-roll that you shoot for cinematic sequences to transition from one place to the next, and also B-roll that you show while you're talking about something. So I would say let's get straight into it. It's sunrise time here and I want to shoot a quick intro sequence for a potential travel video of that place. It's supposed to be a nice place in the morning, so let's check it out and get some footage. So the first shot will be a very easy one. I just want to get a shot of the ocean here, nothing fancy, just really straight out of my head. I will use the Blackmagic camera app for that, because there I can shoot an epilogue, which I will do all of the time, and I can shoot, or I can do that in HEVC, what means that the files are a bit smaller compared to ProRes. So let's get one here. Simple. I will just do a static shot here, nothing complicated, just an intro shot to bring people into the place, little establishing one. So I think that's enough. What you've probably noticed is that I use this ND filter here in front of the iPhone, because that helps me to keep the shutter speed low. I want to have natural looking motion blur. That's why I want to keep the shutter speed at 1/48, because I'm shooting at 24 frames per second. If you shoot in 30 frames per second, you want to keep it at 160. If you shoot in 50 frames per second, at 125. And usually when you shoot footage like that, it would be overexposed, but that ND filter is essentially like a sunglass for your camera that helps you to keep the image dark enough so it looks like a normal exposure. So that was the first shot. Now I want to introduce that hill here with that statue. I will use the 2x lens for it, which is actually the 1x lens but cropped in by 2x, which still gives good quality on this phone. The iPhone 15 Pro is what I'm shooting here right now. And while I'm doing that, I also want to walk in the front towards the camera and then start talking into the camera in the third shot. That's a tricky one, because I want to have both the ocean and also the statue in the picture, which is why I will use my sandal here to lean my phone on it. Hopefully that works. I pushed it a little bit into the sand so that it stands well, and that looks pretty good to me. So let's get that shot. Let's focus on the statue there. Okay, let's check it out. Hope the framing was good. I got a little bit of water here. Oh. Now the shot was nice, but I do have to get it once again because I was walking way too far to the right. Okay, second one. It's generally a good tip, no matter if you shoot with a smartphone or with a real camera, get low. That usually looks pretty nice, because that's a different perspective compared to what people usually are used to seeing. The water is coming in here, I really have to hurry up. So what I will do now is to switch to the 13mm lens, I think. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then I will shoot the introductory A-roll for that imaginary travel video. I will not actually publish this video, it's just for you guys here. But I wanted to show you how to shoot a proper travel sequence. And for this one, I will use this little tripod here together with a selfie stick. That's actually wonderful about phones. Like, makes it so easy to carry around, right? It's so small. Usually I have to carry my big travel tripod with my Sony cameras. It's so much harder. Tilt it up a little bit. Make sure that it's level. And then I'm good to go to record the A-roll part. So let's do that quickly. Are you also a sunrise lover that's traveling Hua Hin right now, or even moved here and you want to know the best spots to go to in the morning? Then keep watching, because we're at Khao Takiap Nuat today. I'm pretty sure I spoke that wrong, but it's supposed to be a really nice sunrise spot here behind me, so let's check it out. So I got this one. Now I want to get a fourth shot, which is simply a shot of my feet walking through the water there, because I think that's a good shot to put in between the A-roll and the shot before, just to make the sequence a little bit nicer. So for that, I take my phone. I will also use the 1x lens, and I just walk through the water and just film down like that. You could also use the 3x lens, put it on a tripod and just have it on your feet. But I find that a bit harder to get if you don't have a partner with you, because someone would have to look if your feet are probably in frame or not. So let's keep it a bit easier. So that's looking pretty good. I would say it's time to get up there. Now that's a nice one here. You see that fisherman standing there on the rock. And that's a good shot for the 3x lens, and also a good shot that we can put in between the other shots, like before I go up that hill, just to show something on the way. So here I also want to shoot low. Now here I frame the shot so the fisherman is exactly on the right grid line. So that gives it a nice composition. And it does not stop. There's also a bird now, which I really want to get. Oh yeah, such a beautiful shot. I also just got that with the 3x lens. I wish in this situation I had the iPhone 16 Pro or 15 Pro Max or so with the 5x lens. That would get me an even closer view. And that really looks like you're not shooting on a phone anymore, even if you have a bit less background blur, because you're so close to that bird and usually you would fly away. And talking about the videography side, these were actually quite easy shots to get, but they are important to cut them in between, because the more footage you have that you can cut in between you're going to the next A-roll part, the better it always is. It's the same with every camera. It doesn't really matter if you shoot on a phone or on a Sony, a Fuji, whatever you want. And for the next shot, I want to bring the boats here in front a bit into the frame while I'm going up there. I think there I will also shoot my first A-roll, because I first thought this place is closed because of that sign on top, but it was actually wrong, because I was just standing a bit higher and it looked like a barrier. So let's figure out the shot. Really have to play around a bit on that. So good how quickly you can adjust the height here. Okay, that's looking good. I'm on the 2x lens here, 48mm. And now I will press on the entrance there. I will long press on it to lock the focus in place. And then I will press record and walk in that direction. There are monkeys here, I have to be careful. Those are not the nice ones, those are the macaques. They always try to steal your stuff. So let's review the shot. It's very important. Always review your shots after you got them, otherwise you might have missed it. That's a good one. So we can get to the next A-roll. So it's time to shoot the second A-roll here. And now there is the question, because it's vlog style, if you should use the 1x lens or the 0.5x, the ultra wide angle one. And here it depends. If you're already somehow experienced talking into the camera, I would suggest using the 1x lens. This is also what I will use now, because then you have a bit of background blur, which actually looks quite nice. Doesn't really look like a phone. But if you're just starting out and you're not used to that, it can make sense to use the 0.5x lens, because then more is in frame, it's wider, so it's harder to miss yourself or also important details around you. Like now I want to talk about that sign here in the back of me. And by the way, always use the front cameras. I know it is easier to just use the selfie cam of your phone, but the quality of the selfie cam is not as good. I hope that Apple improves that in the future. Let's check first if the exposure is correct. So I just point my phone here and I rotate the variable ND filter. Just from Sandmark, by the way, a really nice one. You can just clip that on your phone and set your exposure quickly. Now, instead of only using the variable ND filter to change the exposure, I use the ISO, because what I figured out over time with the iPhone and Apple Lock is that it's actually oftentimes better to shoot in a bit higher ISOs, even like 1000, 1500 in that direction. Gives you a bit more noise in the shadows, but therefore you overall get more dynamic range. It's basically the same as with most other cameras. So here I'm at ISO 200 now, which is still pretty low. It wouldn't give me a lot of noise, but I noticed that the highlights look a little bit better. So this is what I'm going here, ISO 200, and then just the ND completely closed that it's dark enough. So let's shoot the A-roll. Now, one thing to note when you get here is that this sign, it does not mean it's closed. Like when you come here, you're a bit higher and also farther away, and that's why the sign looks a bit lower. It almost looks like a barrier and you think it's closed. It's at least what I thought initially, but then when you go here, you see, oh, it's actually just a sign and it's open, you can just walk up. And now it's time for a kind of special B-roll shot. I'm going to place the phone here in front of that little graffiti eye. They're everywhere here, they look pretty cool. So I want to capture them, but I also want to show myself walking up the stairs. So I will place my phone here now, also with the 1x lens. I will put the focus on that graffiti so that the rest is out of focus. Getting it a little bit lower here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And like always, review the shot. By the way, I locked the focus on the graffiti so that it doesn't jump on me. Nice one, and now it's finally time to go up and look for the actual shots, the meat of the video.
By the way, if you're enjoying these creative techniques and want to really level up your iPhone video skills, you should check out my new iPhone Pro Videography online course. It's like a little 8-hour masterclass specifically for iPhone users, designed to help you shoot professional looking videos with just your phone. I cover everything from A-roll setups inside your room to filming fancy B-roll outside, and even include some important iPhone editing tips in Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve. And the cool thing is, many of the skills you will learn aren't just for iPhones. They're also a great foundation if you ever want to move on to bigger cameras in the future. If that sounds like something you would find useful, I've linked it in the description below for you to check out.
So from here, I'm basically just looking for nice shots, things that I want to show, and from here I can actually see two. First, there's this Thai flag, which looks quite nice. The sun falls on it and gives it nice colors, but we also have a nice view of the Buddha statue here already. So we got both of them. At first I will switch my lens to the 3x1 77mm for the flag, and here I also want to move my camera a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure the 3x lens if that will be stable, which is why I will switch to 60 frames per second now, or 59.94. And yeah, shutter speed 1/20, it did that automatically, that's good. I will have to bring the ND down a bit now. Make it brighter. See how that looks. So let's set the focus on the flag by long pressing the screen. And let's get the shot. Awesome, there we got a smooth slow motion shot. Now there's the Buddha, I want to do the same there. Now I think for the Buddha, the plants here are pretty nice as the foreground object is definitely better than that sink. So let's get that. I'm not sure if the 3x lens really works. Maybe I have to get the 2x one. Oh no, that's actually quite nice. No, I want to try the 2x lens. So 48mm. Again, I locked the focus in place now on the Buddha's head by long pressing the screen. Okay, nice. And get the sliding shot. Now it had a little writing error because I was recording the screen all the time and also the Blackmagic camera app, which was a bit too much, I guess. So let's repeat the shot. I cannot show you the screen anymore now, otherwise it will lock again. And actually with an iPhone 16 Pro it would be even easier, because there you can shoot 120 frames per second. So you can move the phone even faster and slow it down in post to up to 5 times slow motion. So it's even easier to get the shot then. So actually sometimes I'm thinking I should have gotten the iPhone 16 Pro. So I think here a nice shot will be a revealing shot of that statue while pointing the camera up, because it's actually I think around 20 meters high. It's quite nice to show how tall it is. And here I will use the 0.5x lens for that, because that really emphasizes the height of the statue. And I will get that shot by walking forward, so that I use the roof here to reveal the statue. So I do that by again opening the Blackmagic camera app. I'm on a 13mm lens already. And now again I lock the focus on that statue, because otherwise it will focus on the roof and then on the statue. But I want it to look smooth, so I have to lock the focus in place. That's also why the Blackmagic camera app is so nice, because locking the focus is very quick and easy by just long pressing the screen. So now I move back, I'm in 60 frames per second. These shots are actually quite easy to get, especially for beginners, because when you point your phone up, you can't see the shake much from your feet. So there, even if you walk a bit rougher, it's usually not a big problem, at least if everything around you is relatively far away. Also when you're shooting on a wide angle lens like I did here. So try the shot out, it's actually very easy to get. Again, I'll use 60 frames per second here. You can also slow it down later, so I have more control in post. Little doggy here. And I just noticed another really nice shot. There's this fisherman now, where I can also see the gap between the rocks. And that's, I think, again, nice one for the 3x lens. Now this is a shot that maybe I would just show while I'm talking or so, because it doesn't really do much for the sequence, but you could use it for both. By the way, the Buddha, for example, here, it's also shots that you can actually use for both, for a sequence, but also to show while you're talking what you're talking about. So 3x lens. Did a mistake. Now I left the camera set to 60 frames per second. I want to have this shot in 24, of course. and shutter 1/48. It's nice, the Blackmagic camera app chooses the correct shutter speed automatically. Oh, no, the fisherman is gone. Yeah, can't do anything about that. Only got the shot in 60 frames per second, not the end of the day, but could be better. Now this area is important because it's one of the main attractions here. So in a real travel video, that would likely be a place where I would be talking about what I see here and maybe a bit of the history or something like that, or whatever you can do here, what I like about this place. And that's why I also want to get a few shots of that. First, I will get my flip-flops off here because I'm not sure if I go up there if Thai people have a problem with that, because at temples they're usually quite sensitive about having shoes on. Now, the first shot that I want to get here is again a shot that shows how big the Buddha is, because there's also a small Buddha in the front. So I can quickly kneel against this part here a little bit, up there. And now I will simply move forward and up a little bit. I want to do it again in 60 frames per second. I think that's bit better to edit later. I think to get this shot here, it's actually easier to move it back because then I can frame it. Let's get the back down. Usually when you have problems with shots shaking too much or so, it's good to put your back down. I think it doesn't come out as good as I want. No, can't get it. I will see in the edit later if this shot comes out good or not. I guess not, but that's why I will get another shot here now. It's also a thing, sometimes it's easier to get shots in the reverse order. Like here, I want to have a pull-in shot where the camera moves forward, but I found it easier to pull it backward now. Then post later, I can still reverse the clip, but sometimes helps a little bit if you have problems getting a shot in one direction, but it's easy to get in the other one. As long as there are no people moving or cars driving or so, you don't see that later. Monkeys get quite aggressive here. Oh, they fight each other. They're always, I hate macaques, they're not nice monkeys. So I like the things now that happen in between that you can't plan for. So I mean, in a travel video, telling people that the monkeys here are quite aggressive, which they are, is actually good. And you see how many monkeys are here. This is now footage where it's not really important. It looks good or so. Don't really have to control the shots much. It's just about showing that there are a lot of monkeys here, so that when I'm talking about the monkeys in a real travel video later, I could show this footage that they see how many monkeys are here. Now, it's not like that all of your shots have to be perfect. It's still a travel video, it's still a vlog. It's okay to be a bit amateurish sometimes if something important happens. Anyway, I wanted to get some more shots, and now I make it easy for myself. I quickly choose the 3x lens again, which you probably notice I'm a big fan of. And I also switch to 60 frames per second, because now I can just get close to all sorts of things here and get some detail shots. So for example, I could get now closer to that statue here. Cool, set the focus, move a little bit around. Okay, got one here, awesome. Maybe even one here, yeah, it's quite nice, of the same statue. There's also one of the old king. Now for this one here, I simply held my phone like that and tilted it up very slowly, and I left the rest to the stabilization of the phone, which is standard stabilization. By the way, I don't use cinematic stabilization or so here. It's very easy to get, so it's really not hard. Like those slight small movements, the iPhone does a good job stabilizing that. It's actually much easier to get such shots on the phone as on a normal camera. Yeah, I want to get another shot of the statue in the background. Also lock the focus on it, just sliding my phone to the right. I like in this shot that we have the statue in the background and there's the other statue in the foreground, and also the little pillar here, which gives a nice dynamic because there are so many things moving in the shot. That's again a very good example why when you do sliding shots with your phone, you always want to have something in the foreground. It gives it so much more dynamic. I found my fisherman again. He's there, and it's generally good, I think, also to get a shot of that building of the view of Hua Hin while being on that kind of viewpoint temple here, because people might not only be interested in the travel video about the temple itself, but also about the views that you get here, which are actually quite nice. So here I'm just quickly testing around which lens I could use. 77, like 3x lens is definitely too far. Yeah. I think 24mm lens here is good. Now I want to bring the plants here a bit in the foreground and having the building in the shot. I do think that one branch here destroys the shot a bit. So I'll go down, which doesn't look safe, and just put it down here under the other branches. So I want to break it. Now I just do a simple steady shot, nothing fancy, nothing complicated. General rule of thumb, if you do a steady shot especially, take it for at least 10 seconds. I did 12 here, because then you're always safe that you have enough footage in post. And this is, for example, a shot that I could perfectly use while I'm talking about that area here, what I see, how I like it and stuff, and how the view is. Then I have a shot of the view. But we could also do for B-roll footage or so, for like a cinematic B-roll, do a little sliding shot. Now, so far I always use 60 frames per second for sliding shots in this video, but for this one here I want to change that. I want to use 24 frames per second. Again, lock the focus and just slide the camera around. Slide shots with your phone is so easy, it's crazy, the stabilization is so good. I held the shot for about 10 seconds, or 8 let's say, and it comes out pretty good. Awesome. Okay, up to the next one. Now this is a really nice shot here because we're having a strong backlight situation. The sun is behind that building there essentially somewhere, and that building acts a bit like a tunnel, and if you have this effect where light shines through a tunnel, this usually gives you really nice shots. And then also with those statues in the foreground there, that allows us to get a really nice frame of me walking towards the next part of that. I don't even know if it's a temple here or whatever, but that's why I want to set up a shot there. Let's get there. So I just framed the shot, it looks nice. It would be nice to have a mist filter now to make the sky in the background glow a bit. It's not a must, we can also do that in post. Now let me also lock the focus in place. I just focus on the statues here. And while going up I saw another one. On the other side there is now this guy cleaning, which is a nice shot. I think the 48mm, the 2x lens here should be good. Yeah, that's good. And now I simply do a revealing shot, simply panning up. And of course the guy is lower now, so I can't get the original shot anymore. That sucks. Now I just get a steady shot here. Anything else doesn't make sense, I don't want to ruin it. So in such situations where it's really hard to have control over the subject, I just get a steady shot there. Like it would have been best to just do a revealing shot. Would look so much better, but I can't get it now. Let's see the next one. There is some sort of steam. Yeah, I just had to get it quickly because I wasn't sure if the steam will hold up there. You can see that behind me. It looks so cool. And let's get one from here too. Yeah, it's something you can't plan with, but every time you see fog, mist or something, try to make something out of it, especially if you have the sun behind it. It always looks so good and it doesn't need much. You can get a static shot, you can get a tilt shot like I just did. It all looks good. Now, while I've been walking around here, I also noticed that the Buddha statue actually looks a bit nicer from the other side because the sun hits it nicely. So that's a good one for a 48mm shot. A 2x lens, by the way. I focus on the Buddha. And now I frame the head of the Buddha on the left grid line and on the upper one where they cross each other, because that gives it a really nice frame. The hands in the center. And that's it, just a static shot. It's, for example, a good shot also to show while I'm talking about what I'm seeing here, which is what we should do now. So figuring out the A-roll shot, I want to use the 13mm, the ultra wide angle now, 0.5x, but I do notice that there is a bit of flaring or some reflection from the filter in the shot, which is not really nice. You can see that here. So I think for this one here I will give up on natural looking motion blur and simply expose via shutter speed, which you should usually not do. It's not good practice. So I went up to that big Buddha, which is actually pretty tall. I think it's like 20 meters or so, they write on the internet, and it's not far to walk. It's like walk 1 or 2 minutes from the beach until you're here. There also seem to be quite a few restaurants, which is nice if you want to eat something, but they are not open yet. It's before 9 a.m., 8:30 or so around. So by this time at least they might not be open. And also the views here are really nice. Like you can see the wall Hua Hin Beach here, really nice view in the morning. But it doesn't stop here. You can also continue that path. There is a stair going up that mountain. So I would say let's check out what we will find there. So it's time to go up that stair soon, but before I also saw that here are 2 more Buddha statues. So I want to get a quick shot of those. It's also a big tip here, if you have a shot like that where you kind of want to pen slide around a subject, use your legs a lot, because if you would only do it with your arms, it's more likely to introduce shake and to be less consistent in your motion. So to get a shot like that, I would lean to the right and then I would do the rest mostly with my legs. And I usually do that towards the end just to have a bit more range of motion, and then I get the shot. So use your legs a little bit more and try to keep your upper body stiff. A good sport to train that, by the way, is paintball, because there you always want to get one shot exactly where the shot before was. When you get out of a bunker, there's a technique called snap shooting, which means that you learn how to keep your upper body stiff while leaning out of the bunker. So if you want to get a better travel filmmaker, I guess, play more paintball. And I also want to get another shot here with the 2x lens, both statues. So that's quite nice here. I focus on the statue in the back, lock the focus. I think it's also better to get the shot in 60 frames per second, because here I have a problem with the range of motion. I cannot hold the shot long enough that I have enough footage to do a proper edit with it. That's why it's better to slow it down later in post. I'll always do 60 frames per second for stuff like that. It makes it so much easier. You can just move quickly, it's smooth, and you have more footage ultimately that you can work with. So now we're back at the stair here. I want to film myself going up. And that's important in your travel videos. Doesn't matter if you shoot on a phone or anything else. You essentially have to think about how to get from one place to the next. Sometimes you can also leave out. You can sometimes also just go from one A-roll at one place to A-roll at the next place. But it's usually a little bit nicer to also get some shots of yourself, or at least some shots of the surrounding on the way to the next place, because then it feels a bit more like a proper story. And I think here I will go again for the 1x lens, 24mm. It's my favorite lens overall. Just gives you the best image. Warm right now. Usually it's best to keep the white balance all the time the same, because then it's easier for color grading, because you have consistency. But here in that example now, I think I won't follow that rule. I think the white lens is better for that shot. Okay, now I have this stupid reflection in the left, but I will just leave it in there. Maybe in the color grade later I can bring the saturation or so of that a little bit down so it's not that obvious. But overall, when it comes to the framing of the shot, I think it's quite nice. So let's also lock the focus in place again. I'm sorry, my audio did not record while I got the last shot. Essentially what I did was I took the selfie stick off from that selfie stick tripod to mount the phone directly on it, because that allows me to be a bit lower. Then here on the plants behind me, I focused on the plants instead of myself in the background, because you can still see me perfectly. I don't always have the focus on myself, on yourself. So that makes an interesting shot. Like you show a bit of the surrounding area, nice texture, stare a bit like of the plants, and you still have the connection to yourself in that shot, because you're still in the background even if you're out of focus. It's perfectly fine. You don't always have to have yourself in focus. And actually my original plan was to go up to that actual temple. Maybe I will do that later just for myself to see what's going on here. But actually the purpose of the travel video that I'm supposed to shooting here is to show people a nice sunrise spot in Hua Hin, or at least a few nice sunrise spots, and this is one part of the video. And so I noticed while going up here that there's actually a really nice cliff where you could just sit on in the morning and chill a bit or so. So I think this is actually how I could end this part of the video already. and just show that. Of course, in an actual video, I would probably go through the template, show a little bit more to show what people can see here. But in that example here, I think now it's okay for this sequence to end that here, because overall it repeats all the time. Like the way how I shoot my videos is all the time the same. So now I just filmed how I go around the corner here, and now we'll get a shot of me sitting down on the cliffs. I first also thought of shooting myself walking towards the cliffs, but I think that's a little bit too much, because if I film every single step of me walking somewhere, it becomes a bit boring over time and it's a few too many cuts. So here I will just go straight to sitting down on that cliff, and that's the shot that I will set up now. It's good to show it from here, yeah. So again, some plants in the foreground, but this time I will focus on the background because those plants in the foreground are not that interesting. So let's lock the focus on the background. I think I can also be a bit brighter. Oh yeah, and the plants here give us a nice frame. I want to move it up a little bit though. Oh yeah, and those plants give us a nice frame. I want to move up a little bit though. Yeah, that's pretty nice because we have this U shape here. That's looking good. Now there's one more thing we can do. We can zoom in here also to my Loft 3x lens and film a bit closer just how I go up there. Just to lift it up a little bit. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So focus again. It doesn't look like iPhone at all. It's not about background blur, just because it's so zoomed in. You're not used to seeing that from the phone. Beautiful, yeah. So now it's time to get the last shot. Actually, I would say 2 shots from there. Like 1 shot of what you see and also the A-roll shot. Sorry guys, but I will have to film that from a distance because I don't want to bring my big tripod with the Sony camera up here. There's not much space. I'm a bit worried that I might throw something down. So I want to get the B-roll shot first that shows my view from here, what I'm seeing. And this is a nice opportunity here for the 3x lens again, maybe the 2x, have to see, because over the edge here of that cliff, you actually get a nice view directly, so I can actually use the edge of the cliff to kind of reveal my view. So let's do that. Yeah, first use the 3x lens. I think I will use the 2x lens after that. And I will slightly tilt it up slowly. Now it's time to record the last A-roll. I could just do it vlog style, but I think because it's the ending, I want to be a bit steady here, like talk a bit longer. So I will get it on the tripod. And again, I will choose the 1x lens for that, just to get a bit of background blur. And that also allows me to sit a bit farther back. Now the sun is shining directly on me. That's not really good. What can I do? Maybe I can just place it here and place my back on it so it doesn't fall down. Now it's definitely underexposed now, but it's easier to bring the shadows up, but it's impossible to get the highlights lower. So I just shot the A-roll part here. I will show you the whole sequence after this one here, but let's first wrap this up. First, when you shoot sequences like that, it doesn't even matter if you shoot on an iPhone or on a proper camera. Think about sequences like, especially in the beginning of the video, as I started it, having that intro shot over the ocean, then revealing myself, plus the area where we will be at. Like, think about that in the first place, and then also how you move the story forward from place to place using sequences, and then of course also shots that show whatever you're talking about. So it's basically, you have to think about 3 things: A-roll, cinematic, B-roll for sequences, and B-roll to show what you're talking about. And important is also that you get many individual shots instead of shooting all the time, which is a big mistake that many beginners do, like having a phone or whatever camera they use rolling all the time and filming everything. You want to be intentional with your shots, and you can only do that if you get single shots, like one shot after the other, and really concentrate it on one specific thing that you want to show. You should ideally always be able to say what the point of each shot is. And this is also something that I mentioned in my travel video beginner's guide. I will link that here in the corner so you can check that out. It's not iPhone specific, but you learn a lot there that you can also use with iPhones. And yeah, by just following all those tips generally for travel videos, they will get a lot better. Anyway, this is actually how easy it can be to shoot a pretty cinematic cinematic travel vlog only using your phone, definitely shoot an Apple log as well, because that gives you those nice colors that you see. If you shoot a normal picture profile or HDR, so that won't look that good. So shoot an Apple log definitely. And yeah, I would say let's check out the sequence now so you can see what we actually produced today. Are you also a sunrise lover that's traveling Hua Hin right now, or even moved here and you want to know the best spots to go to in the morning? Then keep watching, because we're at Khao Takiap Nuat today. I'm pretty sure I spoke that wrong, but it's supposed to be a really nice sunrise spot here behind me, so let's check it out. Now, one thing to note when you get here is that this sign, it does not mean it's closed. Like when you come here, you're a bit higher and also farther away, and that's why the sign looks a bit lower. It almost looks like a barrier and you think it's closed. It's at least what I thought initially, but then when you go here, you see, oh, it's actually just a sign and it's open. You can just walk up. So I went up to that big Buddha, which is actually pretty tall. I think it's like 20 meters or so, they write on the internet, and it's not far to walk. It's like 1 or 2 minutes from the beach until you're here. Also seem to be quite a few restaurants, which is nice if you want to eat something, but they are not open yet. It's before 9 AM, 8:30 or so around. So by this time at least they might not be open. And also the views here are really nice. Like you can see the whole Hua Hin beach here. Really nice view in the morning, but it doesn't stop here. You can also continue that path. There is a stair going up that mountain. So I would say let's check out what we will find there. So that's quite nice here. I went up the stairs and on the left side I noticed those cliffs here, which look super nice. You can perfectly chill here in the morning. There are no people here really, and you have a really nice view. And yeah, you could go up a little bit more, like there's still some temple stuff going on. I saw some monks there and so on, so maybe you want to check that out too. But I think just to spend a nice morning here in Hua Hin, you don't even have to go up fully. It's already nice to just spend the morning around the beach there and then getting up to those cliffs here. It's not that far to walk, just 2 minutes and you get stunning views. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this sequence, and if you want to learn more about how to make cinematic travel videos, definitely check out this tutorial here in the corner, and make sure to subscribe for upcoming videos, not just about iPhones, but about videography in general. And I hope to see you in the upcoming videos. Bye.